Welcome back to Best Practice TV. If you are somebody who is interested in becoming a better leader and somebody who has maybe started to pick up some management skills, you want to move in your career, you want to get more out of your team, you want to do some great stuff with your team and deliver some better results. In this episode, we are talking about stop managing, start leading. I've got some great points to go through with you in this episode. And for those of you that have come online to watch us here, we're playing again with, we've been streaming live on YouTube and live on LinkedIn. We slowed it down a little bit this week. I had a bunch of meetings yesterday and got caught up. So in this episode, we're going to get to you guys and get you through some of these points. I find it really interesting, and as do a lot of the audience, to know where you guys are watching from. So if you are watching on YouTube here today, let me know in the comments. If you're able to comment there on the side, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And if you haven't found me yet on LinkedIn, it's great to be connected on LinkedIn. Send me a connection invitation. You can find my handle at Kobe Simat. So hey, for those of you who haven't met me before, I am Kobe Simat. I am the founder and CEO at Best Practice, at the Best Practice Group. Been leading Best Practice certification for a little bit of time now, about 16 years. And so we're getting into it. Lots of great stuff happening with our Next Practice, business coaching business, some great stuff there. So if you are looking to do more with this particular topic we're going to talk about today, the great coaches over at Next Practice can help you. You can get to that through bestpractice.biz, our website. So one thing I just wanted to update you guys on, please keep an eye on the news feed on the bestpractice.biz website. It's the very first tab. Go to bestpractice.biz. You'll see it there. It's the first button. We've brought the news feed up to the top. We are publishing at least 3 business articles per day. Good little spot for you guys to jump back in and check in on what we see as relevant in terms of, the things we talk about from best practice perspective. So morning, Ashley. Good to see you there from ProTech over at Kings Park. Thanks for joining us. One of the reasons for getting you guys to comment and let me know where you're watching from is so you can ask questions. If you're unable to comment on YouTube because you haven't got a Gmail or you're not logged in, then please send me a direct message on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, send me a direct message, or potentially even Instagram. Finding me on Instagram, sending me a direct message. I've got my iPhone here. This is about a Q&A. This is about the more that I can help you guys with what we've got going on, the better. So Instagram, let me just quickly log into my account on Instagram so I can see the direct messages. Okay, we're good to go. So Instagram, I've got that open. So if you can't comment on the feed there and let me know where you are watching from, you can ask me questions on Instagram. Happy to keep them anonymous too. So I know I've had some feedback recently that people are sort of not super keen to comment on the public videos for their own personal reasons, but more than happy. So if you want to be anonymous, you can send me a message there on Instagram. I won't name drop, but I'll answer your question because that's what I'm here for today. Okay, look, we've been doing a lot of work here at Best Practice over the last 20 years as we built the brand, the last 16 years with the company being registered as it is, and lots and lots around management. We've been looking at some of the Google trends and what's been happening over the last, say, 10 years, and a trend towards more about, I want to be a better manager. It's more about actually I want to improve my leadership skills, my skills of influence. So what I've done today is I've sort of consolidated on the topic of leadership almost everything that's going into the leadership chapter of my book that I'm writing, and some of the key points to talk about. And I've got some notes there, so I'm going to be sort of looking off to the side to refer to my notes for you guys. But really, if you're somebody who is thinking about how you can improve your influence in the organization, someone who is starting to, responsible for getting, results out of multiple people, these are some of the things that I've been working on. I've made thousands of mistakes, and it's been a trial and error journey for me, particularly as a leader. And it's something that I'm hoping that I can help you with, and get you over some of maybe those potholes that I've fallen into on the road to becoming a leader. I'm not the leader yet that I want to be, certainly not where I need to be, and I'm looking forward to doing more. So what I've got to talk to you guys today is a couple of these points. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points to get through with you guys today. So I'm just going to ask Luke, you're happy? Luke's got everything? Okay, so I've got Vanessa logged in. I think we've got a few of the Best Practice team logged in. So if you have got questions, please let me know in the comments there on the video. where you are watching from, and that's a great place to then ask me questions. Okay, let me get into it. The rest of this presentation today is predicated on one of the most important things about modern leadership, and this is about moving from being a manager, where you're maybe micromanaging, and I am the opposite of a micromanager, the exact opposite, and I think my team will attest to that I'm very standoffish. I like to empower people with their number, their goal, their role, and giving them, full scope to go and figure out how to actually deliver. So we talk lots about numbers and we talk about outcomes, and then I'm all about giving people the best opportunity. So I've got to be very careful. I've got to make some decisions about who I let onto the team, and we've been having some conversations about that over the last couple of days. About, it's important to set someone up for success and make sure that when you are setting them up for success, we're thinking about, it's important to think about, can they play, essentially? If you're going to let a team member on a football team, can they play the game? Do they know the boundaries? Do they know the rules? Have they got some raw talent? So we're looking for that. Are they going to be a good cultural fit? Have they got the drive and the desire to figure it out? In this particular thing, we're not talking about, hiring and recruitment, but with these kinds of things that, yes, I've got great people, or I want to get more out of people, or I want to help them be happier. The whole thing starts with empathy. So we live by, live and breathe and die with empathy. Excellent. Thank you very much. Got some stuff happening here on direct message. Happy to pick, yes, just a quick message there. Yeah, no problems. You can pick my brains anytime. So I've got direct messages coming through on LinkedIn. I won't name names, but absolutely happy to help people with your questions. So keep them coming. If you can find me on LinkedIn, if you can send me a direct message, if you have an issue sending me a direct message on LinkedIn, let me know, and I can, if you need to send a connection invitation, the team can accept those invitations, and we can get that direct message going on LinkedIn for you guys. So Instagram direct message, or LinkedIn direct message, Instagram direct message, or YouTube comments for questions today. So we start with empathy here at Best Practice. We're using that 360. So I start with empathy. And the question might go, if someone's not performing, or if we're having some issues, my conversation starts with, hey, is everything okay? I notice the numbers aren't where they need to be, or I notice the things aren't getting done that we need to get done. Is everything okay with you? Do you want to fill me in on what else is happening? Because obviously what's happening in our private life can affect work. We all know that. And so it's important not to just push people harder. And what I have found is, if I can deploy that empathy, then I can maybe help with that situation that clears a blockage outside of the office. Obviously, if it's a blockage inside the office, we can. Okay, we're back. Sorry, we're trying a new camera, and we just lost it there for a second. So there's a lesson on the technology. So it might need power. An external power supply. Okay, we are using one of our really good Canon EOS 90D cameras today to shoot this, so I'm hoping they're coming through with a better stream. Everyone's happy? Looks all right? Okay, good. Getting the thumbs up. So with empathy, it's about empathy 360. So it's about the managers to the team, but also the team. It's about teaching empathy and saying to the team members, if they can see a manager or see a leader is stressed, they can say, hey, I noticed you're a bit stressed. Is everything okay with you? The leader sets the tone, something I've talked about a few times with you guys there. So it is important to understand that the leader does set the tone. So I set the tone here. So like if I come in buzzing, or if I come in, a little bit stressed out about something or anxious, then the team are going to feel that. So it's really important to, controlling. Buenos noches, buenos dias, David. Thanks for the comment there. So. With the team here with empathy, they do feel that. So we start with empathy. So point number one, if you are taking notes today, is empathy. What does empathy mean for you? What does empathy mean for your team? How can you deploy empathy? How can you use empathy in your team and the people around you that you are moving from being a manager to a leader? So a true leader uses empathy. And I'm not going to talk about it in a huge amount of detail, but also humility. So what does empathy and humility look like as two elements? It is important to obviously talk about confronting the brutal facts of a situation, so we don't want to be delusional. So yes, optimism and positivity and motivation are really good, those are the things to consider. But empathy is a starting point, really simple starting point for you guys to move from being a manager to being a leader. The next point I've got in terms of my notes is approach, and just talking about what is our approach. And our approach, we've been discussing, actually, I had conversations yesterday and conversations this morning about approach and how we can actually approach being a leader and leading versus actually and helping people and coaching people in place of actually issuing instructions or being a policeman. And so great conversation this morning with someone about, how we can actually reverse engineer our approach. And we use a thing here at Best Practice, you've heard me talk about it before, the learning pyramid, which is the most effective learning style is to teach. When you teach, you learn a lot, and then you get the confidence and the knowledge, and then you can have more, in terms of building confidence. If you can be teaching and talking about a subject, your confidence is going to increase because you know what's going on. Then it's just a case of practicing and testing in a safe environment so you can fail and make mistakes, and it's not going to cause world chaos. So when we talk about approach, what we're talking about with a couple of people is actually going in and using some empathy and saying, hey, I noticed you've got some goals and targets. I just want to check in and see whether you think they're on or off track. Is there anything I can do to help there? I've got some things I need to do that tie into what you're doing. And in this instance, it was around some numbers in the business, in two different parts of the business. Hey, I just want you to understand, these are some of the things that I need to do and my responsibilities. They tie into your responsibilities. What can I do to help you be more effective? In place of, hey, I need that thing from you. You need to get it to me Friday or else, or I don't know what's going to happen. And so you can see, empathy and approach and humility and teamwork starting to come in. So approach is really, how you approach a situation. Do we approach it with empathy, or do we approach it with conflict? Do we approach it with some friction? Those kinds of things to consider in terms of, what are those next steps? You want to watch that camera, Luke, that it doesn't turn off again. Is it good now? Okay. So the next one is a dashboard. This is one of my points, numbers, which is just understanding what someone's numbers are, what are their outcomes, and having an outcomes focus. So as a very standoffish macro leader, from my perspective, I'm interested in, are you good to go on, what your outcomes are, what your goals are, setting those goals together, agreeing them together and saying, yes, these are the ones that we're going to focus on. This is what this is the destination you're hoping to get to by this time. And that could, simply it could be sales, or it could be customer service, it could be net promoter score, it could be marketing, it could be productivity, it could be project management, it could be time, cost, quality, budget, all those things in terms of outcomes. So I wrote on my sort of points to talk to you about today was dashboard or outcomes. So just to quickly summarize, we've talked about empathy, we've talked about approach, and we've talked now about outcomes or dashboard. And so then I can say, if we've got common agreement on the number we're looking at, then we can go in and say, hey, how's your number going? What can I do to make you more effective? What's on your mind? Are there any blockages? What can we do to lift? What's our goal? So if we're watching a particular, if we're driving down the highway and we're watching speed, then we can say, how's your speed going? Are you doing the right speed to get to your destination? In time, we can have conversations around that, which I think is really exciting. The next point number 4, is an acronym, 3-letter acronym, TLA, as I like to call them, which is get it, want it, capacity. It comes from a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. Excellent book, good system, entrepreneurial operating system. It's a form of quality management system. It's not your traditional ISO 9001 quality management system. It's more about a leadership system and an operating system for an organization to give traction and high performance. They talk about this principle of GWC, and it stands for get it, want it, capacity. So as a convener of teams, or a coach of teams, or a leader of teams, or a manager of teams, I'm looking at each person on the team and I'm asking myself a question. Do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have capacity? And so when we're recruiting, we're looking for want, and we're looking for get it. We're not necessarily looking at capacity, because you can train for capacity in terms of skills and experience. Some people may just not have the capacity to travel all the way to a particular job, or they might not have the skills to do a particular job. They might not have the family structure to do a particular job. So it's those kinds of elements that we want to think about, in terms of get it, want it, capacity, as you assemble your team and you're changing players in and out. As a leader, you do have responsibility to ensure that you set your team members up for success. In fact, you are 100% to blame. So that's, on that particular topic, I take 100% responsibility for my team's performance, for their results, and I own it. And when you start by taking, and you take the position of taking 100% responsibility, as a leader, don't blame anybody, because it's your part in it. You set up the team, you hired the person, you put them in their role, you're responsible for their development, you're responsible for their mentoring, you're responsible for all of those elements. You are 100% to blame. So you need to understand that it's 100% your part in it. Then the question is, what are you doing about it? So when somebody fails at their numbers, the first question you should be asking was, what was your development plan for that person? What was your support plan for that person? What work were you doing to check in and review their numbers and see that they were on track to deliver their outcomes? Did you induct them properly? Did you train them properly? Did you support them? Did you communicate with them? Did you motivate them? Did you lead them? Ask the right questions. So it is 100% their performance is 100% your responsibility. And what we're doing is we're trying to coach and lead the different team members to scale ourselves. So, delegate and elevate. So when you're delegating, you've got to give communications about what your expectations are. There's a second conversation in more of a masterclass, if you like, about whether you're a handicap for a person, whether you become a bottleneck. And that's why I'm not a micromanager, because I'm all about scale. How do I scale? How do I give people the tools and the resources? That's what these libraries here at Best Practice are all about. The answers that are inside my head have come out of these books. And so people know they can go to the shelf, they can pick up a book. There's a huge row of books on the floor here in the studio as well. There's a pile of books on my desk. There's a pile of books at home. There's books everywhere. You've seen lots of photos of the books we read. It's getting these, getting the information out of these books and into people's heads. And that's why I'm, this particular book, where is it? Good to Great. This particular one is an excellent book by Jim Collins. Highly recommended. Absolutely fantastic book in terms of actually what does a system look like, how's the lights on that. So if you haven't got this in your library as a resource, as a textbook, get a copy of it, because in this particular subject matter on becoming a better leader, moving away from being a manager, stop managing, start leading, this is an excellent, excellent resource. In fact, it's got bookmarks in it, sticky notepads, because I do refer to it a lot. That's probably one of the books that I refer to the most. Wrote my name on the top of it so I wouldn't get stolen from the library. Okay, so let's get that up there. Hopefully that's okay. Next up is some coaching questions. So we've sort of, we've talked about, I guess a philosophic position of taking an empathetic position. I didn't talk about sympathy. You can think about what sympathy looks like, but you really want to take an empathetic position. You want to think about your approach, how you approach people and situations positively, with an empathetic approach. A dashboard of numbers. We talked about get it, want it, capacity. Now I'm going to move into the sort of second half of my points, if you like, which is all around coaching. When we go from being a manager to a leader, a manager is about managing a number. Look, we're looking at the number, we're micromanaging it, we're in and out. Maybe we're operating with, maybe you operate with anxiety, with frustration, all those sorts of things. I've talked about taking 100% responsibility for the situation. You are, as a leader, 100% responsible for your team's performance, the outcomes, their deliverables. Don't confuse that with take credit for everything, because you don't take, as a leader, a good leader, you don't take any credit for any of it, because it is your team and you want to deliver that celebration of their performance. But you are responsible for their outcomes, not able to take the kudos of their outcomes. And so, it's my team here that do all of the hard work and get all of the credit for making everything look good. So the next question, there's a set of coaching questions that I use that come from this book, which is excellent. This is where I picked it up from. I use it all the time. Highly valuable, and this is the coaching habit. Say less, ask more, and change the way you lead forever. Now I picked this up. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th copy. Just looking across there into the office. We use this book with all of our people here at Best Practice. Particularly, we've rolled it out with our managers, and then also or our leaders, our unit leaders, if you like, or section leaders of the business, and then also with our business coaches. It's an absolutely fantastic text, and as somebody who wants to move from being a manager to a leader in your organization, doesn't matter if you don't have people reporting into you, it's a great set of questions that you can use to coach people, to help them achieve their outcomes and help them achieve performance. So the first question, I'm not going to cover the whole lot, but it's been very useful for us. The first really simple question that you can be asking people when you're, engaging with them and talking to them is, what's on your mind? So we know the number, we know the dashboard, we're using empathy. We can say, what's on your mind? Now it's an open question. You're going to get any sort of answer. So, if I talk to Luke right here, I know he's got a personal matter that's on his mind at the moment, and that can make him a bit distracted, and it's going to maybe distract him from achieving his numbers. So we can talk about how do we shut that off, deal with that later on, how do we, get those issues dealt with. So when I'm talking to Luke, he might tell me that. And then the second question I can ask is there anything else on your mind? So as someone says, you say, what's on your mind? And then you can say, is there anything else on your mind? Now you can, that's obviously conversation starter. And then we can say, okay, so what's the real challenge here? Now, keeping in mind that we're in a work situation, we know the outcomes, they get it, they want it. We can start listening for, is it an issue with they not getting it? They don't want it? Is it an issue with capacity? Is it an issue with numbers? Is it an issue with resources? We can start to think about how we can actually frame more questions to follow up around where we can go with those answers to those questions. So that is point. Where are we up to? We're up to 3. So we're up to 7. So what's on your mind? Is there anything else on your mind? So what's the real challenge or the real challenge here? And you can follow up to each of those things. They say, what's on your mind? Oh, this is on my mind. What's the real challenge? What else is on your mind? What's the real challenge? Okay, what's the real challenge in all of that? And have somebody say, okay, well, that's what it is. Now, the next part, the final part that I wanted to finish off this presentation today and some of the discussion, ask me questions. So I can see you, James, Ashley, David. I can see you guys all watching there online to join in. And Stan, hello Stan, good to see you there. So you guys that I can see making comments there as we think about that. This last part is probably the best part of this whole session, which is listening out for wants and needs. And so what we want to be starting to think about as we're coaching people is we want to start to think about how we can help them get what they want out of life, how we can help them get what they need out of life. And as a leader, particularly in a work situation, you're there to help them get their income, because most people that are going to be working under you go to work out of a sense of obligation. If we can get people going to work out of a sense of obligation, but then doing what they love, then they will love coming to work and it won't feel so much as an obligation. And there are lots of different types of people. There are the motivated people who will, they love it so much they would do it for free. There are the motivated people who will come and do their job and go home, and work is work and home is home. And there are people that just don't want to be there at all because it's 100% an obligation and they need money to pay for their rent and their groceries and their family and their children and all those sorts of things. We need to think about that. And then we need to start to think about wants and needs. And this is like a deep dive, like a final point that I want to talk about here in the deep dive on empathy. What we need to be listening for is the difference between wants and needs, and break it down. And so while I appreciate it's super hard to do that, there's a scientist and an economist, Manfred Max Neef, and also let me just quickly talk about, if you want to Google it, Marshall Rosenberg and the Rosenberg model of needs. And it talks about that there is 9 needs that we want to look out for, and there's obviously lots of wants. I want a Lamborghini, I want more money, I want a holiday in, on a paradise island. You think about what all of those wants are. What we've got to do is to try to help people understand what their needs are. It's very easy, it's very easy for everything to be upgraded to needs, but we want to try and break out what are the wants and needs and then help people meet their needs. And that's probably the first thing as a leader. That's your obligation as a leader. We can empower people to get the things that they want, but we want to listen out for these 9 needs. So I'm going to quickly go through them now. They're a bit random, but it's out of that Rosenberg model, which is affection, creation, recreation, freedom, identity, understanding, participation, protection, and substance. So it's something that I want you guys to be thinking about. It's on page 116 of the Coaching Habit book that we're going through right now. And when you ask someone what do you want, listen to see if you can guess the need that likely lies behind what they want. And you can start to think about that in a work situation. And so nothing there was money. We might need more money because we want to buy a shiny watch, and that's about identity. We might be tired, so we need recreation. So you can start to think about needs and how you can actually help people to clarify and understand those needs, and then do a deep dive on that. Vanessa has, or someone on the team has just posted the link. Thank you to on the YouTube comments there to the Coaching Habit book on Amazon. I personally buy all my books on eBay, have eBay set up on my phone, and when someone gives me a book recommendation, I just jump in and grab it. So I want you to be thinking about that. There's 9 essential human needs, and I want you to think about how you can help people meet their needs. And if you can do that, then people will effectively be influenced by you, and you can all work together towards those outcomes and goals of your organization or your scope, if you like. And that's going to help you get your job done effectively as a leader. Okay, let's get to a couple of questions. In jumping from management to leadership, what do you think is the most essential skill? Assertiveness or empathy? Can both of them be antagonists or necessary synergists? I think out of all of that, empathy. Like, you've just got to focus on empathy. So do a deep dive on learning what the definition of empathy is, what empathy looks like. I think that I don't think assertiveness really contradicts empathy in the way that question is worded. I think that an agreement around what the goals are, if you feel the need to be assertive, then something's not right with the person. They don't get it, they don't want it, they don't have capacity. And so you're trying to be assertive with someone, but in actual fact, it's your fault. So you need to understand from the first frame, which is what I talked about 10 minutes ago, was it's your fault. So the first thing is you need to understand that it's your fault first. And then unless of course you need to be assertive to say, it's also hiring is guessing and firing is knowing. And so if you are firing somebody and they want to stay, then of course you're going to need to be assertive to say, actually, I can't let you continue to be employed here because you're going to fail. And so it's on me to ensure that I set everybody up for success, and it's not going to work out. And so while I appreciate that you'd like to stay and you need your job or you need to stay on the team, that I would be setting you up for failure for a variety of reasons. I take 100% responsibility for that, and it's my job to ensure that everybody here is able to succeed, and I can't see the pathway to you succeeding. So unfortunately, you're going to need to leave the organization. So that is how I would deliver, I guess, assertiveness, but with empathy. I appreciate you need the work. I appreciate that, this is your source of income, but I need to set you up for success. And it's my job here at the organization to ensure that the organization succeeds. And unfortunately, you're unfit for the role. And you can cite reasons, but it's about, for these reasons, I can't see you being successful. Obviously, that conversation is going to come after some coaching. So you can't just go straight into that. We need to have made sure what's on your mind, ask those other questions. What's on your mind? What's the real challenge? How can we unblock that? What would you do if you were me? And so that's one of the things that you guys can use yourselves is, what would Kobe do in this situation? What would Kobe do? Myself, if I'm in a really tense situation, like a leadership situation, I think of James Bond. What would James Bond do? He's never rude. He's never arrogant. He deals with the situation, makes the most of what he's got. And that's the character that I sort of make up in my mind to get me through those really tough days. But something to think about. So David, I hope that helps you definitely avoid antagonism. I hope I've answered your question there about synergies. Let me just check in on this other question on LinkedIn. Stand by. Okay, someone just wanting to pick my brains on doing their own thing. So excellent. Okay, I'm going to talk to them. Fantastic. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover in this session. Let me just do a quick summary. Empathy, approach, dashboard, get it, want it, capacity. What's on your mind? Is there anything else on your mind? So what's the real challenge here? starting to think about wants and needs and think about those 9 essential human needs. So the book recommendation of today, and the one that we use here, is this one, The Coaching Habit. We obviously, we don't use all of it, but it's certainly been very helpful to help us unpack how to be better leaders. And I'm seeing some amazing growth in my team in the last, through this COVID crisis, with people working remotely, and everyone sort of knows what they need to do and gets on with it, and I don't sort of stick my nose in and they're figuring out the way to achieve their outcomes, and we're achieving outcomes, and I don't need to go in and issue instructions and be a policeman around that. So so we're getting some very, very good results, and our team's doing really well. So hopefully you can think about what that means for you in terms of stop managing, start leading. I'm right here, as always, to answer questions. So if you aren't connected with me on LinkedIn, please take the opportunity to connect on LinkedIn. The newsfeed that's running out of our profiles here at Best Practice, there's lots of content coming out. Hopefully it's really helpful. More videos coming to you guys. I hope you like this style today. We've changed cameras. We fixed the internet connection. We've had a couple of technical issues on the start this morning, but I think relatively speaking, it's run pretty well. Luke's pretty happy. Vanessa's pretty happy. Woodsy's pretty happy, etc. So if you guys do have questions, David, you're very welcome. No problems at all. We're going to be back same time next week. We're going to move around. We were doing 2 live streams, sort of 2 days in a row. We're going to play with those next week. Watch the email list. So please take the opportunity if you're not subscribed. I'm making the assumption you're all subscribed already. If you are watching this after the event, because you're one of our YouTube subscribers, just check whether you're subscribed to our email list so you get the notifications of when we are going to go live, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on YouTube. But we are going to be doing more YouTube videos over the next couple of weeks. Our studio's up and running, and we're going to be addressing those key topics that are trending on YouTube and what people are searching to help you guys. So if you are watching this after the recording, please comment, let me know where you're watching from. I get that in my YouTube inbox, an inbox there with all the comments on all of the videos all of the time. So if you enjoyed this, I see our numbers just went up there a couple of seconds ago. So for those of you who have just come on and joined us, please go back and start at the beginning of the recording. Always happy to help you guys. Let me know in the comments, yes or no, was this helpful? I can see everyone live there, so I can see everyone's comments coming in. I appreciate those comments. So if you are watching this after your recording, it really helps us a great deal if you can hit that like button, like this video. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please get yourself your Gmail account so you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would help me a lot. So, and that helps our channel grow. And if there are particular topics that you would like me to talk about in more detail that you've seen me do as a leader or use as a leader, please send me a message, and I'm more than happy to help you guys on any of those topics anytime. Team's going great here at Best Practice. A little bit of turnover at the moment. We've got some new people starting. We've got a couple of people leaving, moving on in their career, and we've got a couple of people starting. So there'll be some new people coming online, and new faces here at Best Practice that you're going to see, which is exciting. Good morning, Abe, James. Thanks, Ashley. Thanks, Stan. Thanks, David. Always happy to help. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I see there's a few of our team members on there as well today, so I hope that's helped you guys. If there's ever anything I can do to be a better leader, please let me know. So Luke's playing with microphones. We're about to sign off. If you guys don't see me out and about, you're definitely going to see me right here next time on Best Practice TV. Actually, before I sign off, I've got one question. Did you hang up yet? No, I do have a question. If you see Best Practice logos out and about, please take a photo and send them to me. I really appreciate seeing that. Wherever you are in the world, if you're seeing the Best Practice tick, if you like, if you're seeing it out and about, whether it's on the internet, on someone's email signature, on a vehicle, on a truck, we have this game called Best Practice Bingo. Send me a direct message, on Instagram or on, I've seen some on jet skis too, Stan, so that's correct. So any of those photos you guys have got, if it's on any of your businesses, the Best Practice logos, make sure if you are a Best Practice certification client, make sure you've got those stickers on your vehicles, make sure you got those logos on your email signatures, make sure you got the certificates up on your website, and then take a photo of it or a screenshot. We're going to start sharing more of that on social media to give all of our clients shout outs and from the great work that you guys are doing, because it gives your customers more confidence. They know that you're working with us. They know the great stuff that we're doing. They know you're implementing these great things that are going to help them have a better experience. And that's what I'm super passionate about. Okay, I'm running out of breath and a bit parched. So I will see you all next time right here on Best Practice TV. Bye for now.